Some of the best parts of most of the games I've played have gotta be the finale. The cherry on top of an already great game, or maybe the last attempt to save a game from being forgotten. Final levels start up the finale, and they usually start them with a bang. That's exactly what I'm going to be taking a look at today. Alright, so let's push all the other stuff to the side for a second and talk about the roles. Of course, one per franchise, and I obviously will be spoiling these games. If the game I'm talking about is a story-heavy game, then I will of course give spoilers, as well as games that are newer. Alright, stupid obligatory countdown stuff out of the way. Let's go! Time to talk about the beginning of the end. Yeah, what the heck is that sound? Context machine? I can't supply context? No, I'm actually serious. The amount of context I need to provide for this would go over all of your heads, but I might as well try. I'm talking about Babli II again. It's not well known, so I'm not sure how much context I'd have to provide for this, but I also don't want to take forever, so I'm going to leave you with this. So alongside, of course, trying to take out the main villain, your team also constantly runs into these monsters known as balls. These demented looking creatures are wicked, but we don't know where they even come from. Also, every now and then during the game, a character known as Altair shows up. He possesses the body of one of your party members named Tiz so that he can speak with you. And unfortunately, a very long time ago, he was separated from his soulmate, Vega. Now, why did I bring up both the balls and Altair and Vega? Simple. The final level is very story heavy and unveils a lot about them. And might I mention that the entrance to this place uses the 3DS's camera? That's pretty sick. Anyway, Altair immediately recognizes this area because the whole dungeon is made out of Vega's memories. As you go through every single area, Altair will recount all the stories and memories that Vega's had about how they met and eventually became engaged. And then this reveals something. The balls were created from Vega's memories. It's pretty clear because of how they're portrayed. Or the backgrounds match up, that's what. Like how Ball Goldie was the pet goldfish they never got to have together. How heartbreaking. While the level itself doesn't have amazing design, just revealing that these monsters were created out of happy memories, that was more than enough for me. You know, it was actually really difficult thinking up entries for this list. A lot of the series that I generally talk about just didn't have any good final levels. I was thinking of a Victory Road from Pokemon, but a lot of them are just okay. And then I remembered Generation 3's version. A lot of other Victory Roads in the Pokemon series tend to go on a little too long, but last time I played through Victory Road in Gen 3, it wasn't actually that long. It's threatening with its music, it doesn't have too many HM puzzles. And you know, the trainers here actually put up a really good Is that a Cradle? It's a Cradle! What do I do? It's using amnesia! Oh no! That was a piece of cake. Now, I'm specifically talking about the remakes, because up to this point, the level was still pretty good. It's the best Victory Road out of them all. But it has one little thing at the end. You end up having one last battle with your rival Wally. In the remakes, they toned this up a lot. One epic battle in a rose field and his team sucks. Except for his Gallade, of course. That thing's cool. Something I absolutely love to see in video games is whenever the last level is actually just the first level, except it's heavily modified. I don't see it that often. Heck, the first time I even saw it was in a Scooby-Doo game. And holy crap, does it work with Star Fox really well. You see, I know I'm in for something good, because Corneria by itself was already a good level, but having it be harder, there being more enemies around, this makes it more fun. Combat is my favorite thing in Zero, and having you be more active throughout the entire level was just perfect. Not to mention, it just overall feels more intense. For what essentially is just a more difficult version of the first level, Star Fox Zero pulled this off with flying colors. Then there's the boss fight with the Gigarilla at the end, which is okay in my opinion. It's a little too hard. Also, Nintendo, why is the hacking point on his butt?
That's a butt.
It's taken me a while to think about how I should start off this entry. All I can really say is I don't think that any other visit to Bowser's Castle has been more intimidating than the one in Paper Mario Color Splash. You arrive here via a Mario Kart reference to stop Bowser from spreading black paint all over Prisma Island. But then the game blindsides you by having a trapdoor at the beginning and a boss fight against Roy. At first I thought they completely forgot about him, but thankfully he has one of the best boss fights in the game. It's stupidly ridiculous. He takes your paint away from you, making all your cards weaker, but don't worry, he gives it back by firing it at you out of a cannon. Then after that you move on to the level itself. It is far from the best of what Color Splash has to offer. While the gameplay is just mildly okay, everything else about this level is where it truly stands out. Not only that, but the music doesn't even get interrupted whenever you get into a battle. And if all of that wasn't intimidating enough, at the last part there is a black paint overflow. It is pretty easy though, might I add, because all you have to do is hold down right and... oh, that's bad, just ignore that. While Roy definitely did steal the show, this is still a good climax nonetheless. You know, I don't know how long this has been going on for, but for a long time now, people have been skeptical with what the media has been showing us. Are corrupt news outlets meant to manipulate us? Are big corporate businesses supposed to try and influence us? Don't ask me, I'm flippin' stupid! Now, there's been one game I've played that's explored this. Suits, a business RPG. What would happen if corporate businesses took over the world? This is what this game sets out to answer. And I don't want the corporate business to take over the world now. Every level in this game is based off of some part of the economy. Whether it's wealth, or food, or potentially the most manipulated one of them all, the Media District. The Media District is unlike anything I've ever experienced in a video game. Did it change my life or my views on the media itself? Well, no, of course not. Video games can't do that. Basically what this level does is it runs up to you and asks you, hey, what would happen if the media was super corrupt? Well, then again, some would argue that it already is corrupt. The district has 4 towers on each of the corners of it, each representing a part of the media. Music, internet, TV shows, whatever. It's not only an interesting view, but also, it has some cool parodies. Meet Nick Beard. Don't be Nick Beard. And what about Shell Dan from the Huge Boom Hypothesis, whose humor is so crappy that it lowers all of your stats? So what's the big message behind this district? Simple, the media is kind of stupid. Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze has one of the best final worlds I've seen in a platformer. The villains of the game, the Snowmats, have given DK Island a little Arctic overhaul. And if you played Returns, then you would notice that all of the levels in this world are direct callbacks to that game. Every level is based off of a world in Returns, and that's pretty cool. Not to mention the atmosphere and the music of all these levels is just fantastic. It feels climactic, and it also feels epic at the same time. And as for the level design itself, what do you expect from Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze? This is one of the best platformers I've ever played. This last world is hard as balls, yeah, sure, but it's so much fun all the way through. Homecoming Hijinks is an epic start, and then there's levels such as whenever you're climbing this avalanche, and the last level in the game, where you're riding on Rambi and running through a volcano. Definitely one of the best conclusions I've ever seen to any platformer.
With me so that we might set the 7 seas ablaze with fear.
Yep, we're going back to a childhood classic of mine, SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. Now, there are 3 levels in the final area that you can go to, but my personal favorite is the Flying Dutchman's Shipyard. And you know what they say, save the best for last. So in my eyes, this is the final level. I already like this level right off the bat, since Shanghai, the episode that the Flying Dutchman is in, is my favorite episode of the show. Not to mention, I just overall like the music and setting. In this level, the Flying Dutchman got overthrown by the robots and they've taken over his ship. And he'll give you a golden spatula if you manage to recover it, so you have to head there right away. Now, the levels in Battle for Bikini Bottom are structured kind of like a level in the Psychonauts. While they're not very open, they do have some points where you can deviate from the main pathway, but overall they're pretty linear. The first area is just alright, you're pushing around some blocks and stuff, so it's just eh. But then we get to the second area. This is where platforming is at its absolute best. Not only that, but it also puts really good advantage to the wall jumping mechanic. Then there's the final area, getting onto the Flying Dutchman's ship. You're going to be crossing over between the Flying Dutchman and the robot ship. This area is fantastic. There's a lot of robots here, so you end up having to take them out alongside completely destroying their ship. And then the Flying Dutchman doesn't carry out his part of the deal, so you end up having to fight him. After you defeat him, you get your golden spatula. You know what, SpongeBob? Even though you just had to go through this huge graveyard and whatnot, at least it wasn't as bad as having to go through your perfume aisle! Please tell me you get that reference. Something I noticed is that all the levels on this list come from a bunch of games I like, for the most part anyway. Like Bravely II, which might just be my favorite game ever. And also, I called Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze one of my favorite platformers. Probably because these games have so many amazing moments in them. And while I can't say Lego City Undercover is one of my favorite games ever, it is my favorite Lego game ever, and it has one of the best moments I've ever seen in a video game. In the final level, the newly revealed villain, Blackwell, who's been behind all this crap the entire time, has gone to the moon to probably destroy Lego City and build his apartment complex. Or was it a shopping mall? I can't remember. The level itself is okay. It doesn't have anything that really stands out until about the halfway point. You have a battle with Rex Fury, both of you wielding mechs, and he's kind of been your rival throughout most of the game. But after the fight has concluded, the station blows up. After another fight with Rex where you battle him on a hunk of junk hurling towards the earth, Blackwell gloats about how he's going to get away and start up his plan again, and then he gets ruined by a cow. After this is the moment I'm talking about, where you're hurtling towards Earth, skydiving for one last time, towards the Earth, not to mention the amazing music track that accompanies this. This epic moment is unlike anything I've ever seen before in a video game. This is one of the best segments in any video game I've ever played in my life. And did I forget to mention, this is a Lego game! Babli II is flipping awesome. Octo Expansion is... I have no idea who the heck was asking for another single player campaign, but overall it's just, pretty good, just nothing amazing. Up until the end, at least. After you collect all 4 things, the phone back at the train station makes a blender. You just made a blender. Squids go good in blenders. So the phone tries to blend you up, but thankfully, you escape and you're gonna find a way to your surface by yourself. What follows this moment is probably the longest final level on this list, clocking in at about 30 minutes. And yes, I think this is the best of Octo Expansion right here. You start out with no weapons at all, so you're in a stealth section. And I don't know about you, but unlike most people, I actually like stealth sections. And as you proceed on, you do get a weapon, but it's a bomb. And let me tell you, people are great at throwing these things. Okay. Never mind. Let's just run past this guy. And you do eventually get the Octo shot, which is just a reskin of the regular splatter shot. So now you're good to go. Whoa, wait. Look at these lasers. Wait. Hold up. Okay, I'm doing this to prepare ahead, not just because I got killed earlier. And a really good part near the end is whenever you're collecting 8 data points, but you're using the inkjet to traverse the terrain. This level is brilliant, and I'm not sure why all the upper levels in Octo Expansion weren't as great. I really couldn't put it at number 1 since it's a little too long at some points, that and it can be a little bit frustrating. So, as for number 1... just like all the other countdowns I do, I know right away what my number 1's going to be. And for this one, I'm surprised to see that it's from a series that I don't really care that much about. But not only was the final level amazing, but I don't think I've ever seen a final level accompany a game so fittingly. The game I'm going to be bringing up today is a game that allows you to do just about whatever you want, and it lets you go at your own pace. It doesn't care how you play the game, you can go to the final level at the beginning of the game. Oh. I just gave it away. Number 1 is Hyrule Castle from Breath of the Wild. Right off the bat, I already love the area. It's Hyrule Castle, except it's all bleak, and it's filled with enemies, and the music is amazing. Everything about the presentation follows exactly what happened to this place. But that's just on presentation. Everything about the gameplay is amazing. And by itself, it's gigantic. and you can explore it at any pace you want to. There's even a secret underground entrance, and that area is super fun to explore. The ruins of Hyrule Castle are just amazing. There's so much to explore if you want to. Not to mention there's a little bit of lore here, but I don't really care about that. That stuff's dumb. I hate reading. But the most amazing thing about this level is that depending on the type of player you are, you may or may not visit this level multiple times throughout your adventure. Whenever I first visited this area, I had 4 hearts and had just snuck around a bunch of guardians surrounding the place. From the moment you leave the Great Plateau, you can head to this level immediately, even though it's ill-advised. So while I was playing the game, I every now and then went back to Hyrule Castle just to take a look at it. This was so exciting to visit. Even though on my last trip there, I pretty much skipped past everything and just went for the final boss. But like the game itself, it's a very open world that lets you do whatever you want to do. Play at your leisure, explore as much as you want, and go to it whenever you want. I don't think I could have a more fitting #1 choice here. I'm Luigi Magic NX, and the only issue I had with Hyrule Castle is that the boss fight against Calamity Ganon sucked butt.